So, hello everyone. Thanks for sticking around. And we're going to talk you through our session here, which is unlocking the intelligence of a connected platform. And I suppose this is really just reiterating the message we've been saying all day, is that it's really about Microsoft Day now, and maybe not so much sort of Dynamics Day, and I'll get booed for that, I'm sure. But so just a bit about myself. My name is Lee Stevens. I'm a solution specialist in the enterprise productivity team, and I'm a SharePoint guy by trade, but don't hold that against me. And I've got Frazer Scott here helping me share the load, and also Steve Foster, who's a CRM MVP. And I suppose the point of the session really is to kind of sort of talk you through all of the different parts now of the Microsoft ecosystem and how we can kind of join those together. And what I would say as well is today is very much about demo, and this is where we pray the demo gods are with us, don't we, Steve? We do. And obviously Wi-Fi connection's brilliant, but yeah, I think we want to show you a lot of stuff today. So Fraser's going to talk you through about kind of how the world's changing, both from a technological sense and a business sense. We're going to talk you through about how it's really important to innovate or die, and I think that just goes back to the slide we said earlier about sort of 80% of, I think, the companies in the 1950s are now gone. So we're going to give you some examples of maybe how you avoid that, and then we're just going to demonstrate some of the ways we show a connected platform, and that's a bit of SharePoint, a bit of CRM, plus some other products that we use to complement that offering.
That's me. Okay, gentlemen, if we could change it over. And sorry for the delay there. We were trying to reinvent our own productivity up here and managed to crash the systems. The guys told me it was a software problem, but I'm having none of that. I just want to quickly recap on a couple of themes from this morning to help set up the guys' session here. And as I outlined, you know, we talked about the fact that the world's changed, and we talked about some of the things that are driving that, the amount of devices out there, the amount of data this is creating. I have the pleasure, if you don't know, of introducing you to the expression a zettabyte. For those of you who don't know, it's 1 billion terabytes or 1 trillion gigabytes. Now, don't you feel better about that? Back in 2000 and, what's that on there? 6, we had 0.16 zettabytes that we as humanity would produce every year. By 2020, we'll be producing 44 zettabytes of data every year. So that path towards, you know, mass confusion and the celebration of data is not slowing down at all. And we also talked a little bit this morning, I know James talked about it, about how interrupting it can be to be working on one task, switching to another. To give you an understanding of that, the University of London did a study that constant emailing and switching back and forth between texting over a day, it has the same effect of missing a night's sleep, and it's 3 times more damaging than smoking cannabis. So who knew that? But with all this data and all these devices and this just celebration of confusion of data, the most scarce thing of all of this is human attention. And that's ultimately what productivity is trying to overcome. We talked a little bit about how traditional hierarchies limit information. And if you look at the image here on the left-hand side, you could say, well, hey, that's a text message or an email going point to point. Where far more it's around what we see, which is more on the right-hand side. That's the influence of social networking or Yammer or WhatsApp, if you're thinking about it in the texting environment as well. That's how data moves. And at the same time, data is moving that direction. Organizational hierarchies aren't replicating it. On the whole, we're still, if you're an entrenched organization as Microsoft is, with over 100,000 employees, based very much on this command and conquer matrix, versus a software startup of today, which would look very much more like it does on the right-hand side, with clustering, teams coming together to work on ideas and take advantage of transient workforces as well. So what does that mean, and what are we seeing today? Well, because work's changing so much, here's an interesting stat for you. 60% of desks in the modern buildings today are vacant. In fact, in New Zealand, only 42% of workspaces are used from 9 till 5 every day. 42%. That's the mobility of work starting to really come into play. And yet at the same time, over the last sort of 4 or 5 years, since 2011, we've seen a 6-fold increase globally of the number of people who are starting to work more in community-based. So if, in this image here of a very sort of open and modern workspace, that is the way that people are choosing to work. The downside of the old world and where we're running to in the new world is that you can get what we call information islands, be that people-based or be that technology-based, where information's out there, you just don't know who to talk to or how to get to it. And productivity tools are very much focused around overcoming that. So we've taken this view that we think human activity, as I spoke about this morning, is absolutely where it's at. And our productivity tools and the way we think need to be all of these things: nimble, highly mobile, and really enable conversation-driven experiences. And we see it happening through 4 main pillars. First of all, it has to be about collaboration. It really needs to bring people together to help solve big problems. And so that's, first and foremost what we have front of mind. It needs to be intelligent. It needs us to work smarter than we do. If time is the scarcest resource that we have, surely how smart things are that can help, tools that bring information to us that are contextually aware so we don't have to go and look for them, is the way forward. It needs to be friction-free. For those of you who have kids, and I'm blessed with 2 little cost centres, the way that they interact with technology today is just amazing. It's just intuitive, and that's the way it should be. What they can do on my phone in 30 seconds takes me 30 minutes to fix. That's the way, but it should be that way, and it should be that way for all of us. And it has to be fluidly mobile. Everything that we do should be able to be contextual, go with us, give us what we need when we want it. To give you a snippet of a view on that in a couple of minutes, and I know I'm talking fast, but the guys have got me on a schedule. The videos I showed you this morning are what's happening today. I'm going to show you a very cut-down version of a video that you can go and find on YouTube. It's called Microsoft Futures. But this is a cut-down version of how we see technology playing out over the next 5+ years. So pretty compelling stuff in how we see the future rolling forward. Based around human activity, focused very much on bringing people together, working smarter, creating a friction-free platform for creativity and drive, and ultimately being incredibly mobile that goes with the human experience wherever you happen to be. James, pass back to you.
Thank you. So if we can just switch it over, guys, thanks. So we're using the term innovate or die, which may seem a bit extreme, but I want to take you back to Auckland, the streets of Auckland, and it's 1910. And this is the Auckland Hansom cab company. So they're a very successful horse-drawn cart business. And we're lucky enough to be on the management team. And our distinguished leader, Sir John Hansom, he said, we want to see you. He's having his head turned about this new fandangled thing called the motor car. And he says, what's our opinion? He said, oh, that'll never take off. And yeah, anyway, so unfortunately that was that. And I suppose the term stick to your knitting kind of comes up quite a lot. And it's okay, we'll stick to our knitting, we'll stick to what we know. And needless to say, we know what happens. So what happened here, we was formed in 1910. By 1932, we were out of business, knitting needles and all. But Intergen, we like to question, we like to say, what if? What if we hadn't have maybe taken a decision, we went against his, we went round him and said, let's go and buy some motor cars. So maybe sort of by 1995, we're the largest taxi company in the world. And who's to say that this year we're not going to go and acquire Uber? Because we're pretty bold like that, eh, Steve?
Yep.
And by 2040, we're the largest supplier of Johnny Cabs, which we didn't nick from Total Recall, did we?
No.
Largest, and that's actually not too far away, believe it or not. It's in about 2020, they reckon, in the States that there'll be driverless cars. But that's all what if, because we've reinvented what we do. So we're going to be like Doc Brown and Marty McFly, which is very topical now. We're going to go back in history, back to 1955. I just want to look at the office here, and I suppose if you look around the office, let's look at what these guys and girls are doing. So they've got a notice board up on the wall there. They've got some documents that they're sharing there in a file system that no one knows apart from the person who obviously created their own folders. See where I'm going with this? We've got Polly here. She's creating some notes and she's creating some content here using a typewriter for the company newsletter. And we've got John Hanson there, very distinguished looking chap. He's doing a presentation, but obviously he can't share his screen yet. That's not been invented. But you see where I'm going with this, right? And if we fast forward now to Auckland 2015, this is John Hanson Jr., the third probably. So that's what you do, isn't it? And as you can see there, the same stuff's happening, but just in a different way. So what we do hasn't really changed that much. It's just how we do it. So if we look at kind of the modern day problems we've got as a company now at the Auckland Hanson Cab Company, as Frazer mentioned, we've got these things called information islands that have developed. And how this has happened is because what's going to happen is the business have gone and bought point solutions over time. And what happens is now each of these have their own license, they have their own sort of support team, none of them talk to each other. And what's happened is that, yeah, this isn't working for our business. So Microsoft have been speaking to us, and then they've come up with an idea, and they've said, well, look, let's look at Office 365. This is a single connected platform that you can build all of your applications on. So what does this really mean? And this is where we're going to demo sort of time. So please be kind if the demo gods aren't with us. So let's just show you some of the things in Office 365 that we're talking about. So the first thing I'm going to show you here is this little nugget here, which is called the waffle. Did everyone know what that was called? No? Okay, well, maybe. Yeah, and it's a waffle. And what the waffle does now is it gives us a single point of access. I'm going to make a pretty bold prediction here. I actually believe that most desktop applications will be dead within 7 years, because what's going to happen is the web-based versions of these are going to get better and better, and actually in many cases they're going to supersede the desktop versions of the tool. But what the waffles let us do is kind of create our own personal way of working, and we've got CRM, we've got NAV, we've got our own custom tiles here as well. So we want to call our little system called Cab, which is a taxi company took years to think of. And we've got Power BI, we've got our email, which also lets you do offline synchronization. So that's a big push that we get at the moment with Office 365. You can now synchronize without an internet connection. And I was sort of checking my emails on the plane up yesterday. So let's look at one of our custom tiles here, which we're going to go into. And there we go. That's the first sign. Let's see if this works. Okay, so the first thing we probably want to do is we're going to sort of talk you through in our demo here, sort of the journey of a customer and of a sales transaction. So the first thing that we would probably want to do is have our internet connection working. Let's go. Great. Sorry, any of the AV guys got any suggestions about alternative Wi-Fi?
Just click
here. Will that be all right? Oh, so we don't listen to security certificates here, do we? Oh, great.
You'll plug it into direct. Have you not got a cable?
No.
Might be.
Sorry, everyone.
Shall I get the
Yeah.
cable? Try that. Is that?
Yeah.
I don't need that, probably. Okay, so that's connected now.
It was working earlier. Yeah, it was working earlier.
What?
It won't let me do that. They're there, look. They're already there. I know, and that's all right. What I'll do, I've got some videos, so I'll switch open.
Close IE and go back to it.
No. It's all right.
Just try reloading it now.
Yeah, I'm going to show you the videos. Okay, so thankfully I did have a plan B, which is doing some videos using Office Mix. Fantastic tool because it gets you out of a sticky spot like just happened there. So what we've got here is an application form. Now we're using a product called inText, which doesn't really matter what the product's called, but the first thing that's lets us do is kind of really design our own custom forms and also have appropriate approval workflow approval steps that go with that. So this one here is just a basic application form. As you see, I can type in the company name here. In this case, it's going to be Intergen. So Intergen want to apply for a corporate taxi account with us, and we're going to put our company details in. But I just want a quick show of hands. Who is actually using paper-based forms in some shape or form anywhere in your business? Come on, admit it. Right. So I guess what these tools now do is they're the first, I suppose, cab off the rank in a lot of ways because it lets you start sort of really digitising those forms quite easily. And everything I'm sort of showing you here, it's not taken days, months, sort of, or years in some cases to develop. With which you can create some of these forms in hours and certainly the appropriate approval workflows to go with it as well. So in this instance here, we're just filling out a corporate account and it's going to save. Now, what that's going to do, hopefully, and I don't know how we're going to show this if CRM's not working.
Well, we'll try CRM.
Yeah. Is what we've actually done is we've actually connected that form, which is actually created in SharePoint, but it doesn't really matter. And what it actually does is it then goes and creates an opportunity in CRM. So we don't have to think of them as two separate systems now. What we can actually do is get the client, or maybe it's an internal staff member, to fill out that form, and then actually it's done all the hard work. We haven't got to load anything in, we haven't got to key anything. The lead will be showing in CRM. So this is where we go, fingers crossed, and we hope we can get the...
Well, I suppose what we were hoping for there in the practice runs we've done all day and yesterday and the day before
and
that,
the day before.
And the day before that, with absolutely no certificate errors whatsoever, ever, is that would create a lead record inside of Dynamics CRM. So what we're doing there is automating the process of someone going to a website, filling in a form, passing that information and creating a lead inside of CRM for which someone could pick up and review, make a phone call and convert into an opportunity and continue through the process. So we'll switch into, where's your CRM?
So while Steve's trying to sort of get that going, just to give you a bit of this is a true story. Steve and I were sitting in a room yesterday and was going, okay, well, how can we start connecting CRM to SharePoint? It's the connected platform. And thankfully, as I say, there's tools we use now have got loads of CRM connectors. So we used to think of certainly Office 365 and maybe the individual products within that, very much as separate products. And with these tools we've got at our disposal now, we can't actually think of it in that sense. And literally within an hour, no development, no lines of code written, what we was able to do is actually just write a simple connector that sort of converted that application form into being a CRM lead.
If we get
to it.
Yeah.
Do you trust me when I say I haven't had any certificate errors all day and I've been using my machine all day?
Can I close all this down and reopen it?
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just going to close everything down and see. So the demos have worked all day to the very last one. Just going to close everything down and just...
And this actually probably goes into say, this is why you do lots of planning with Office 365 on the infrastructure side of things. A lot of what we're doing at the moment around the Office 365 space is certainly on the infrastructure side. Everyone thinks, oh, there's nothing to configure, but some perfect planning prevents pathetic performance, as they say. Quick show of hands, anyone actually using Office 365 at the moment in any shape or form? Okay, and who is using it beyond email at the moment? Okay, so yeah, fair numbers.
It might be working now. Do you want me to check? Sorry, I'm just going to log into a few things again. I just see that certificate error is gone.
Should we do another one?
Well, I'm just going to see if that's going to work now.
Yeah.
Yep. There we go. Right, we're up and running.
Right,
I think we
so
just need to close everything down and reopen it after that.
If in doubt. So we're going to create a form actually on the fly here, and we're going to say who the, in this case it's Intergen. I'm going to be the contact. My contact number is all the 2s. And what it's asking for is the number of journeys we think we're going to make. So we're going to make a lot of journeys. So sorry, Simon, if you're in the room. And I think the average distance here is 30 kilometres. And we're going to click Save. Now, what that's actually doing, we've actually created a workflow step which, say, using inText, it's going off in the background. It's saying, OK, go and do your thing in CRM. So if we just click on that, you can see there's no Lee Stevens in my open leads at the moment.
Yeah. So if this is all worked now, I'll go into my leads. And we'll just give it a second. Hopefully we'll see that lead come in. And there we go. So here's our lead, which has just come in through the inText form, completed the form. It's integrated through just a connector to Dynamics CRM and created me a lead in the system. So as a salesman, I see this lead come in. I can go in and access and look at this lead record. and bring up all the details I've entered into the form, should load into my CRM record. At the moment it's a lead, so I'm in the qualify stage of the process. And I can see this is the information entered in the form, the 10,000 and the estimated mileage, and the details that I entered in. At this point, I might make a phone call to them to qualify the interaction. So I can come in, make my call, and add a phone call and say, interested in a proposal. So that's my conversion, that's my qualified call to qualify this into an opportunity. So to qualify it, I just hit the qualify button, and what this will do in the background is create an account, create a contact, and create an opportunity for this new lead record. And once this opportunity record's created, all the information from the lead has been transferred over to it, and now I'm working within my opportunity business process. So from a user perspective, I've started on the lead, but I'm now in the opportunity flow. At this stage, it's quite a big opportunity working with Intergen, with multiple offices over New Zealand. So I want to create a collaboration group because I want to bring in multiple people into this conversation to help me sell this proposal to Intergen. So using office collaboration groups, I can invite people into the opportunity to actually work on it with me. So I can come down here and click on Office 365 groups. And what this will do is go away and validate the name and create a unique name for my group. And I can create an Office 365 group. Now, Office 365 groups enable me to have one common notebook, one common address, one common appointments and calendar features, as well as invite members in to have a conversation about it. So rather than sending lots of emails around about the opportunity, I can use collaboration groups to have a conversation, invite and create appointments, and start Skype calls and interact with the information on the...
And I think it's worth mentioning Office 365 groups. They're a new feature in Office 365. They're probably a replacement for maybe what you would have used team sites for in the past, maybe what you've used email for in the past. Quick, lightweight, ad hoc collaboration. Stuff might be your Christmas party, that kind of thing. And they're pervasive as well. So they span across the whole of Office 365. It's not, so CRM, SharePoint, your mail, you'll see those. And those are only going to get added to over time.
So what this allows me to do is I can come here and start a conversation off. So, new opportunity, need to price competitively, and post that onto the conversation board. And then I'm going to invite some members into this team to work on it. So I need to invite a few people on to help me solve this. One is Priyanka, who's going to bring some data insights into the piece. And we notice now they've switched into the Outlook, but these are all the groups that I'm a member of, and I just hit Add Members, and I can come in here and start typing away. So Priyanka, I'm going to add in Alan, and then I'm going to save and add those to the group. So those people now are associated with the group, so they'll start seeing the conversations coming wherever they're working with inside Office 365, whether they're working within the email, whether they're working within the document libraries. They're going to be able to see this group and share and work within this group without sending lots of emails around. So I've created the group, so I'm going to hand over to Lee now to run through the next piece.
Okay, so we've had the inquiry in. And as you can see now, this is really where I suppose we want to sort of start using our tools to kind of, I want to find out how do I do this. And certainly after this little mishap earlier on, I think I better start winning some business in the taxi business, I think. But, so let's go.
Learn how to use technology.
Yeah, I'll learn how to use IT maybe. So let's go to our cab portal, because our cab portal is pretty useful. And this is kind of tells us, this is where someone said, oh, go to the cab portal, it's pretty handy. And I apologise for the graphic scenes of SharePoint, but you can see here we can do some sort of pretty simple stuff. So in the old days, I guess I would have probably searched on SharePoint to find out how to do stuff, and I can still do that if I want to. But we're going to start seeing things like Delve, which aggregate everything. So Yammer, Conversation, CRM, it could even be your on-premises data, your on-premises SharePoint that you've maybe got. And Delve is a holistic basic search as well. So it might be we use search at some stage. But I've also heard that video is a big thing these days as well. The YouTube generation, millennials, they don't write a whole lot of stuff now, but create a lot of video content. So Office 365 has actually got its own video functionality. It lets you create your own personal YouTubes or your company YouTube. So obviously as a taxi business, we've got Mr. Robert De Niro there who's talking to me. We've got some footage of a taxi crash because we want to try and cut some accidents. But think any how-to guide or anything like that. So when my waste disposal unit breaks at home, first thing I do is go onto YouTube and watch the video and see if I can fix it. And then I'm under the sink, electrocuting myself the next minute. But that's what we do now, right? We watch videos and then we go do. So video is going to be a growing medium for us over the next sort of few years. And as we can see here, there's different channels in video. So maybe you have one for results announcements. Maybe you have a channel for guides and tutorials. There's a nice little how-to channel there for me. Oh, and there's a really useful video there, which is how to price corporate accounts. Pretty useful. So we'll come back to that. But in reality as well, we're still going to create SharePoint content as well. And we can do some really nice things in SharePoint now. So this is just a basic SharePoint page, which is telling me how I need to price this corporate account. We've had the inquiry in, and what I've done here, or someone's done, I can see they've created some really useful content, which tells me exactly how I need to go and price that corporate account. And this rather good-looking chap here has also gone and recorded a video with him narrating how to price those corporate accounts as well. So you can see how we can start maybe grabbing those different tools and start putting them together to create some quite useful content. So once we've gone and received the information about how to price those corporate accounts, I'm probably going to want to make some intelligent decisions about how to do that. Now, you've obviously seen today a few of the tools around data insights. And what I probably would want to do here is, obviously, I would call Priyanka Patel. If our Wi-Fi was all right, I suppose, Stephen.
Well, we weren't thinking of doing
Because it says there we have to call Priyanka Patel. But I'm going to go rogue on this occasion, and I'm going to go and find that information out myself. So I'm going to go and use BI. And what Power BI does, I suppose, from a productivity sense, is it prevents the need for users to have to go and ask those reports from IT, which we know is a big bugbear in most organisations. So here I can actually see the average fuel cost has been around sort of 25 cents per kilometre. Our average revenue has been about 40 cents per kilometre. So profit-wise, about 15 cents. But it might be that I want to go and see how we've maybe priced similar contracts over the years. So I might want to say profit by customer. And you can see here this natural query language gives me instant self-service reports. It really is a great tool, and I say Anna can speak for months about this stuff, can't you, Anna? But yeah, true self-service reporting. But I've just gone and found out exactly how to price, got the information for this corporate account. It's a beautiful thing. So I probably want to go and send that price to the customer, Steve, don't I?
You do.
So how do I do that in this day and age? So hands up who still sends PDF documents, Word documents for proposals. Okay, so there's a new way of doing it now, and this stuff's available this afternoon, and I don't think I've shown this to someone yet who haven't gone and played with this the next day. It's something called Sway. So Sway, in Microsoft terms, lets you create beautiful interactive content. Whatever that means, I'm not sure. But Sways let you go and create some pretty useful documents. And this is where I'm going to go back to my video.
Bring it up on Chrome.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. So Sway is available from the Waffle. And if I don't say so myself, I'm pretty good at writing content. I'm not so good at making that content look pretty good. So what Sway does is it kind of lets us go in and create some pretty good looking documents. And as we see sort of things like video, audio, those kind of things sort of emerging, we probably want to make our proposal a little bit more interactive these days. So as I can see here, I've got a template. This is our proposal. I filled it in for Intergen. I've got some text in there. I've got some information about personal accounts. You never know, those late night nights out at the Viaduct, someone might want a personal account. And when I'm sort of good to go, I can drag in sort of pictures, I can drag in video. And like I say, this is, in my mind, this is like writing a PowerPoint deck. And think of all those internal documents you write as well. Once I'm happy with that, I click one button, I press play. I've now got this really interactive document that I can go and send the link to. If I'm not happy with that, the look of it, I click one button again, I click remix, and I've got something. Now, if there's any marketing and brand police in the room, I apologise. This won't give you pixel perfect documents, but it gives you better documents than some of the Word documents that maybe go out your organisation. But interactive documents as well, and it's all touch friendly, responsive as well. Just a nice way of writing those documents. So now I've created that proposal, we probably want to go and send that proposal out now. So we would probably go back to CRM to do that. And in reality, what we probably can do is we can probably, let me just get this back for Steve, we can probably automate this process as well in such a way, because obviously with Office 365, there's APIs available to go and do that. So we can create exactly what we want to do so it serves a business purpose.
Yeah. So, you know, I created that opportunity. With Lee's help, we've crafted up a proposal that we want to send out to the customer. Now, these proposals through Sway are online only. They're not downloadable, so the customer's going to get a link. They're going to click the link and go to our portal and view the information on that beautiful proposal that Lee's generated. But I want to work out, how can I send this to the customer and actually, you know, capture, did they open it, did they click it, did they do all this? So I want to use Click Dimensions here. I want to use Click Dimensions to send out a nice email with the link of this document in here. But this has got to be like a standardized template. So I'm just going to copy here because I know there was an error on that page. I'd copy the URL to that particular file, so I could go here and just click share and share that proposal out. I then will switch into my opportunity. And what we've done in our business is we've created a standard template that we'll send out. So all the salesperson needs to do is come in here, paste in the URL for the Sway that I want to go out to that customer, and then just tick Send Proposal. And on doing that, that actually fires a CRM workflow, which actually sends an email. Now, hopefully, if all goes well, everybody who registered with Intergen with an email address will get this email sent to them in the next few minutes with some links to some videos and some other content, but also to the Sway that you can click on and take a look at.
This is where I expect everyone to start checking their pockets because they've just received an email, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, hopefully all your mobiles are off now, so you won't get that until you leave the room. But everyone should have received an email and can start reviewing that content. So, but from a sales perspective, it's been really easy for me. All I've had to do is put the URL in, and it's going to send off a nice-looking email template, which Lee's going to show in a minute. And obviously, at this point, I might move the stage on to the proposed stage. Oh yeah, there's emails popping.
There is. So let's just see what that looks like. So as Steve said, we do have an email template that we've gone and created. So if we go to there we go. We've got an email already. And this is just using Click Dimensions, I take it, Steve, to go and format this email. And we've got the link in here. So how much better is that than just sending a PDF attachment to an email? Whole lot better, right?
Yeah. And the value, obviously, using this, we can tell, did that customer open it? Did they click the link and look at the proposal?
Yeah. So we're good to go, I think. This is all fantastic stuff. So we're going to fast forward a couple of steps. And we've had the verbal confirmation from my alter ego, Lee Stevens, over at Intergen, that we're good to go.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. Fantastic. I don't think Simon's going to be too happy, but we're good to go anyway. So now we probably want to do some contracts. And in contracts, I think someone was telling me the other day, on average take about 10 days to I suppose, from the point of generation to signatory stage and where they're kind of saved. And the reason for that is probably because they're typically paper-based. So how do we do that in the modern world? So as you can see here, I've got a section in my SharePoint site for contracts. And obviously, the contract can be generated by CRM. We know that SharePoint is where documents are stored in CRM. So we can absolutely create a contract from CRM. So if we go here, and what I will also say here as well, I'm going to show you the manual steps here. But in reality, we can automate this whole process. But I need to show you the steps to kind of show how it's all working. So I've got my contract here. You can see there's a little sign called sort of DocuSign up here. I'm going to sort of use this thing, sort of get signatures. Now, what we're looking to do here is we're looking to use an electronic signatory system called DocuSign. And what DocuSign does is it errors on us all the time. Typical. And what DocuSign does is it kind of gets us to a point where we can say, right, okay, this is who we want to sign the document, and these are the reasons why. And we can drag, if we want to, where they sign the document. And it gets it to a point where, as we can see here in my video, if potentially we're out hitting the geese and wine booth or wherever it might be outside, maybe we're out on the road. And if you think about it, this is probably what happens in most instances now. For any work requests, any kind of proposals that need to go out, you probably need a signatory for legal reasons. So we've gone and generated that contract. And I'm now receiving this contract. You can see I've received an email from DocuSign that says, hey, Lee, you need to review this document because it needs a signatory. So I can go in here. I'm happy that I'm declaring the electronic records disclosure that it's asking me there. I'm going to review the document. And we can see here they're trying to charge me $2 per kilometre, which I think is reasonable. Pretty reasonable, and $2.50 in peak time. And it's just got a nice shiny button there that's saying, here we go, sign here. Now, you can see it's already been signed by the issuer and date stamped it, but now what it's asked me to do now is actually sign that document on my mobile device. And I literally do that by just rotating my device. I'm signing here, I've got a really squiggly signature. And then we're good to go. And then what actually happens then is it says, okay, are you all good with that? And I say, yes, I am. I'm going to click finish. We've now got a signed document. So what actually happens in the back end is the issuer is going to get a series of notifications to say what's going on. I can even see that someone's opened the document. So you know when you kind of do those sales and you say, oh, have you received those documents? Oh, no, I haven't had the email. Or, yeah, we're kind of, I haven't looked at it yet. And you can see, because DocuSign will send you an email to say, yeah, they've opened it and they've reviewed it, which is pretty useful.
And the great thing there with DocuSign is that as a tool set, it meets all the certifications globally around electronic signatures, but it can also be powered by Dynamics CRM or via Office 365. So it supports both a contract being generated out of CRM, sent through an automated process to get electronic signature, or via a SharePoint route where you manually create a Word document and associate where you want the signatory to put their signatures. So it can really speed up the process of getting those signed contracts back.
And what you can see here is, well, once again, depending on the rules we've created, we can say go and save it back to the Intergen folder or file or site, whatever we might want to be. And you can see it's added a folder there called signed contracts, which is actually going to be a PDF copy, which no one can alter with. And what the PDF does also is it gives a date stamp as well. So for compliance reasons, it might be that if you don't have anyone, I mean, the legal guys will probably sort of care more about this than most. But you can see that it's got the signed, the boss. I'm definitely getting the taxi service tomorrow, I think, for that. Yeah. But, so it's been signed by the boss. But you can see here what it does is do some nice sort of time stamping and some date stamping for legal reasons. So we've probably taken what was typically a 2-week process to get those contracts signed and out the door and returned down to 20 minutes because we're using the tools at our disposal to do that. And once again, we've let the system do the work rather than, I suppose, us manually doing it and printing stuff off and that kind of thing as well. And there we go.
So I suppose what we've showed you there, although we had some issues, which is quite annoying when everything was passed, but it's trying to show that how using Office 365 as a single point of entry, you can pretty much manage your business. Through that point, you can access forms, which would generate leads into Dynamics CRM. Through the sales process, can drive you through a set of stages to the point where you need to collaborate and bring other people into that group. So you're using the collaboration side of Office 365. So we're trying to remove the need of passing emails around the business, one central store for all files related to that opportunity. We then use the how-to guides and so the knowledge management side of Office 365 to try and work out what's the best way of pricing this opportunity. So it's again inside the Office 365, we've looked at Power BI and brought some data sets together from our business line of application systems to work out what's the best price point we should be offering our customer. We've used Sway to generate a nice looking proposal that we can send out to the customer. Again, this is not a physical attachment. This is a link to a file stored online through our Office 365. We've sent that document through CRM and through Click Dimensions to track, did that person open it, click it, and all of those sort of metrics. And then finally, we've used SharePoint and DocuSign to actually send an electronic contract document to the customer for them to sign. So pretty much removing all paper from the process. This is all, everything sent via email or via the sort of the connected sort of chat sort of conversations. And you might have noticed in the waffle, we obviously had NAV there as well. So a single sign-on point from our Office 365, we can access both our ERP systems and our CRM systems all from the same place. So really bringing this together.
Yep. And I just think, all jokes aside, and I think we can't reiterate this enough, the real important part of Office 365 is what my colleague Cos always says is the boring stuff, and because it's the stuff that's under the surface. So all the sort of stuff you've seen here today is the stuff above the surface, but it's the stuff under the surface that typically sinks the boat, as someone says. So you absolutely have to plan for the browsers, the security certificates, the connectivity, the network, all that kind of stuff. Trust me, and you can see there, users won't thank you if you kind of get error message like that. So so hopefully that was kind of a jog around the connected platform, but you can see that was just a one business process. There's many opportunities there.
Yeah.
Any questions? No. As we've said before, we're outside. Just come and grab us if you've got any questions about anything you've seen today.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers.